Welcome back to Morning Express. It is the State of the Nation, and in case you're joining us now, a quick reintroduction of the guests that we have in studio. We have Honorable Mark Nyamita, we have Honorable Joshua Kotuni, and Enoch Wambua, Honorable Enoch Wambua. And just before we took the break, we were, well, asking the question as to whether NASA still has the glue to hold them together, especially with what has been happening in the Senate with Honorable Moses Wetangula being ousted, which is being called a coup. Let me come to you, Honorable Mark Nyamita, and the question here is, there seems to be, of course, a lot of disquiet with what had happened, and we have Raila Odinga, who has called for a meeting of the senators, ODM senators, this morning to try and have Honorable Wetangula put back in place. The question here is, who's fooling who? Do you believe that these senators acted out of their leaders' will and desire?
I think one of the things we need to accept is that what we're actually seeing at the Senate is actually the robustness of democracy, if you ask me. And I want to take you back during the initial stages when the House leadership in both the houses was actually being constituted. And in Parliament, I remember in the first lineup, we had John Mbadi as a minority leader, and Chris Wamalwa was actually, Robert Mbui was actually proposed as the whip. And Ayub Savula was the deputy minority leader. But when the thing came and members of parliament said, no, we cannot be led by Savula, because Savula does not have the qualities to hold such a high position. We also said that the whip, as of that time, Mbui was not probably the best person to be the whip. And members of parliament took it back to the summit and said, no, this is not going to happen. And there was reshuffle. We had now John Mbadi as a minority leader and being deputized by Robert Mbui, which is quite in order. Then we went to Junet being deputized by Chris Wamalwa. And when that actually happened, and I remember even Mheshimiwa Savula on the floor of the House and all over in press conferences complaining, oh, that he had been shortchanged, he's a deputy majority leader and things like that. But it was settled. It is not any different. So now at the Senate, what we are seeing is actually the robustness of democracy. So when you ask that, because in as much as Moses Wetangula, yes, he is a principal, but in Senate, he's just first amongst equals. He's just a senator like my friend here.
Right.
So when he goes there, he has to lead his colleagues. If his colleagues that he is leading in the House have issues about his leadership skills, it is within their right to actually take whatever action it is.
Isn't that a sudden turn of events, given that it was okay until the handshake?
No, it was not okay. There are issues that they have actually raised. And if you remember, the principals even sat, and there was a letter from Norman Magai to the Speaker directing that the principals have actually directed as such. But the Speaker ruled that it is not, because these members have. And there is this perception growing that, you know, who are the people who hosted Moses Wetangula, that it is ODM MPs? No, it's not true. Even ANC leaders, we have ANC senators who actually voted against him. So people are asking, but there was only one ANC senator. The question is, there was no any other. The question is, if Ford Kenya only has one senator, if probably there would be another one who was dissatisfied, they would have voted against it. So you understand? And today, I don't want to really delve much into that issue, because I think they're going to have a meeting with the principals. And in that meeting, they are going to explain the reasons as to why they actually think... And from what I have heard, that the issues that they've had with Moses Wetangula are not only now. People who sat in the last Senate equally had issues. So those issues, I think today, even in National Assembly, if we have dissatisfied with the way Mbadi is leading us, we can actually call a sitting and say, you know what, John Mbadi, your time is up. Get out. Get out. If we are dissatisfied with Junet as a whip, we will call our members and we'll be able to do it.
And that is
and
democracy.
And that's the point. You know, people expect... Because people are saying, why is this happening on NASA and it's not happening in Jubilee? In Jubilee, and my friend is here, knows very well that today, and we sit with him in the same house, sometimes we have had to almost leave sessions early because we are not having business. The Speaker is on record saying that the committees are not actually working. Why? Because, for example, some of the chairmen that were actually put were actually just selected chairmen. They actually said, oh, you have to go there. And people are not happy because when you go there, and you remember the issue even when they elected other people, then they were de-whipped and taken out of committees. That is not the way it is in NASA. So for me, I think NASA is that democratic party that has a robust way of dealing with its own issues. Today, if they feel they have confidence in my brother, Senator Wambua here, they can have him.
They can have him. All right, Honorable Wambua, you wanted to add
because
yes, I wanted to
and maybe my last point before he says,
yes.
If ODM then had issues with other colleague partners, today Senator Mutula Jr. would not be the whip. If really they had issues with our colleagues, they wouldn't have a problem. They would have actually removed Senator Mutula Jr.
All right. Honorable Wambua.
I think on the matter of removing Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., or not removing him, I mean, let's just wait and see what happens.
Time
when it happens, yes. What I want to say, first of all, Gitonga, is correct you, that the meeting today is not between Raila Amolo Odinga and senators allied to ODM, but it's a meeting of NASA senators with the principles, the NASA principles. Secondly, just for the record, Moses Wetangula is not just a senator like Senator Wambua. Moses Wetangula is a senator. Okay, let's begin from there. You know, just a senator. He's a senator with a right, like every other senator, to occupy whatever position that he would occupy at whatever given time. Now, on the issue of the removal of Wetangula from the position of minority leader in the Senate, I want to go on record and say this. One, the manner in which it was done speaks of betrayal. It speaks of an attempt by powers working behind what we are seeing to rock the coalition from within. Why am I saying this?
You're in NASA. Which powers?
Why am I saying this, Gitonga? I'm saying this because my brother here said that if they have a problem with any member of parliament in leadership, they'll call him and tell him it's time to pack and go. On the matter of Wetangula, nobody told Wetangula that they have a problem with him and they were going to replace him. It happened on him on the floor. And it had been properly calculated to happen on the day that it happened. Secondly, the issue of the timing for the removal of Wetangula, coming only a few days after the handshake, it will be difficult for anyone to tell me that even the letter that was written by Magaya purporting to reinstate Wetangula as the senator minority leader was a genuine letter.
Honorable Wambua, what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting there's a hand behind what's happening?
I'm suggesting it's not even a hand, Gitonga. I'm saying the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga knows exactly what happened. If he did not want it to happen, it would not have happened.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So he could be the hand that you're talking about that is behind what is happening.
He is.
Okay.
What
do you think is the objective, or why would he be doing that and creating a different front and saying that he is not?
Because we're having a meeting today, this morning, maybe we'll give him the benefit of the doubt to explain to us why that happened. But let me tell you what. The standing orders on the election of the leadership of the House in the Senate are very clear. Standing order number 20, section 1 and 4, recognizes the authority of 1, political parties, and 2, coalition of parties to appoint a senator to the position of minority leader. If you remember very well, Senator Wetangula was appointed to the position of minority leader through a letter from the secretariat, NASA secretariat.
Who signed the letter?
And it was signed by Magaya, and Wetangula was appointed the minority leader.
Okay.
Now, I was surprised, Gitonga, that the appointing authority reinstates its position. But then a party nullifies
that position.
that position.
All right, Honorable Kotuni, if you were to advise NASA, what advice would you give them? Do you still see them holding? What's the future of NASA in your opinion?
There is democracy, and then there is negotiated democracy. We call it real democracy and negotiated democracy. What they've been enjoying is what we call negotiated democracy, and this one has been one of the litmus tests for NASA, and they have failed it completely. The spirit of coming together and work for a common cause, it is no longer there. Now, what is the likely future of NASA is that NASA is going to die, and I am going to see another coalition emerging. What is remaining for Raila is Raila has no any other option but to clink himself and to clinch on the Jubilee side. He might want to form a coalition with William Ruto going forward. And what does it mean? It means that we're going to discuss about the issue of the Constitution. I am seeing a possibility of opening up the Constitution, and then you create positions. Because in Jubilee, Raila, yes, he has come. The handshake is good for the nation. But then the other factors that are going to follow is that everybody is going to watch him very closely. So then he has to play second fiddle after Ruto. I am seeing him perhaps maybe endorsing Ruto for presidency and maybe push for this constitutional amendment, have the deputy president and have the prime minister and do prime ministers. But then what is also the danger of Raila on this other side is that these other people, Kalonzo, Wetangula, Musalia, they might decide to form a coalition for the purposes of teaching Raila a lesson. And they might also go behind and coalesce around William Ruto and form a coalition.
Is that a danger? It would probably give us a robust political environment, having an opposition, an active opposition.
In this case, the biggest winner is Jubilee, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, because he has managed to stabilize his legacy. But then, now it creates it opens another platform for political jostling for 2022. And that is what I'm trying to explain, that there is likelihood that there will be a coalition around Musalia, Kalonzo, Wetangula that also will want to work with William Ruto. And Raila, again, has no any other option. And I'm saying here, because I want to be on record, he has zero option now. He must work with William Ruto for his political survival. Now, where does it put the country? It puts the country in a very stable political environment. Because one, Raila now is in government. These other guys also, they will not want to fight outside. And it pains me that when a political environment has been created by Uhuru Kenyatta to bring the nation together, then the same people who had trouble, they are fighting among themselves. What does it tell us? It tells us that if NASA had formed government, that government was not going to last because there was a lot of mistrust. What you are seeing is a long-term mistrust, underlying issues that has existed in NASA. And when William Ruto last time said that, these guys, they're wasting time, they're wasting much of their time identifying who is going to be the candidate. Now it is confirmed that, in fact, for them to have settled on Raila, it must be under strong, difficult terms. Now, Raila, this is going to be one of the greatest challenges that he has facing. I did not expect Raila to have allowed the senators within a very short time after the handshake to kick out Wetangula. He should have called for a closed-door meeting. Let them discuss. The meeting that he's calling today with the senators.
Too little,
it's
too late.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's too
because
late.
what is it going to sort?
What for?
Well, Orengo, I expected Orengo as a seasoned politician and someone who has worked with Wetangula. He will have said, hold on for some time. Even, by the way, as in Jubilee, we've got issues. But when something happens, we discuss. And this is something that personally I've been standing for. So I'm seeing a situation where we might not realize 100% the intention of handshake because we are creating another political wing that is going to make noise down there.
Okay.
So,
Honorable Nyamita, your thoughts on the way forward. From most angles, it looks like NASA, as it is right now, as a formation, is dead and buried. Maybe moving forward, Honorable Ambua refuses. But
I want to say something. I want to say that, and I still stand by it. my brother says that Wetangula was appointed by NASA through a letter by Magaya, and the very letter actually came. And it is not Raila who was sitting in Senate who ruled against the letter. So calling Raila's name even where he was not there is really unfortunate. Because when you say that Raila would have stopped, he's mentioning standing orders and that those standing orders are not observed. They are not observed by who? It is the speaker, it is the House leadership. Raila does not sit in Senate. But that having said that, listening to my good friend Mheshimiwa Kutuny, I just want to ask him to also read probably the presser that came out of the handshake, because he seems to be talking about things probably he does not understand very well. Because when he says that the only reason for Raila to survive, that he has to coalesce around Ruto and for this other coalition, I mean, really, but I understand from where he's coming from, and it is okay for him to imagine. I want to say, my understanding, having read the deliberations of His Excellency Raila Odinga and His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and the issues that they committed themselves to talk about, they are way beyond political parties. It is about this country. And it cannot be that this country is about William Ruto. In fact, the president, in his own speech, and Raila, they said, what we are talking about, we must stop this issue and the obsession about 2022 politics. Now, let me tell you what I see into the future. What I see into the future is that how 2022 politics is going to be shaped is going to depend on how well this country is going to be put together. So any leader who is seen trying to pull aside, and when people talk about NASA collapsing, I can tell you, ODM will not be the ones to collapse NASA. And I want to tell my colleagues, and I want to plead with my brother here, that let us remember the things that we actually stood for.
Yes.
Let us remember where we have actually come from. And let us focus in that particular direction.
How do you see those things being addressed, given that now we have Raila Odinga, in a way, from posturing? We don't know the full details of what the handshake was all about, but how do you see those issues being addressed?
After the handshake, and I also don't want to speak about a meeting that I did not attend,
yes.
But after the handshake, Raila had a meeting with all the principals, and he detailed to them what they discussed with President Uhuru. I have not heard any principal coming out and saying that what you explained to us in the river is different from what they actually discussed.
Because they were not there, but also we've had the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, saying he would also want to meet the president.
Hold on. Number two, none of the principals or any other political formation has disputed the issues enumerated after the talk as issues that actually NASA stood for. Now let us accept that we all cannot be leaders at the same time. NASA is a coalition of partners, equal partners on paper, but there must be a leader of the coalition. And the leader of coalition at this particular time is Raila Odinga. So when he goes there and talks, he comes and briefs his gentlemen. People need to settle and understand, yes, our leader has gone and has actually spoken to this gentleman, and these are the issues that are actually there. And Raila has no problem with the other coalition partners going to meet the president. I mean, today, even me, I can go and meet the president. If I got that opportunity to go and meet the president. He has no problem. However,
allow me first of all to reply.
Yes.
Because you've mentioned that perhaps maybe I'm trying to suggest or talk about something that I don't know. Perhaps maybe when I was here last year, when I was talking about dialogue, you never know, maybe I was testing the waters, if it could be possible. So I have a bit of experience when I talk about the future of politics in this nation. I did in 2013, I talked about Uhuru being the president. Nobody believed it. I talked about the ICC thing. Nobody believed it. Now, the other day, I talked about dialogue. You are one of the people, perhaps, maybe who are a bit, skeptical about it. When I talk about the future of this, where is it taking us? Because even when you talk about all those issues, how do we address them? We are only going to address them when we put them in the Constitution, about the inclusivity, all those issues. But how are we going to address those issues when in terms of trust, NASA is failing? That is the concern. That is my concern. Because Raila...
It's not putting them in the Constitution.
Now,
by the way,
just
the
allow
Constitution,
me. Just
the
allow
Constitution
me.
is actually robust.
Just
The only
allow
issue
me.
we are having is implementation.
No, you know,
Yeah.
let me tell you.
If you talk about issues of inclusivity.
You see, when you talk about that, you don't understand the principles that guide the politics of this nation. Trust me, if we had positions where people will have, because the politics of this nation, and it is a fact that it is bestowed on individuals. So when you have positions shared amongst, then the communities will say it is going. Now, I will repeat it again, that the fact that Raila has now shaken hands with Uhuru, is in government. There is no way that he can be trusted by the three principles that are outside there, Raila, Kalonzo Musalia, and Wetangula.
And that's a point at which...
Now, where are we heading from there? Is that Raila has a zero option. He must either work with William Ruto or be destroyed. That is what I am saying. And I'm giving him free advice.
And I want us to wind up soon because of time. Honorable Wambua, your thoughts.
I think Mheshimiwa Kutunyi is almost getting there. By the way, the handshake in itself has no problem. It is the circumstances around the handshake. Remember, the coalitions are built on the basis of trust. To the extent that I cannot trust you, it doesn't matter what you tell me. I will not listen to you. I will think you're always betraying me. And talking about betrayal, and this should come out very clearly, Gitonga and colleagues. Raila did not just betray Kalonzo, Musalia, and Wetangula. Raila betrayed a cause. Raila is not himself.
Why is the blame being heaped on Raila? Yet, on the 30th of January, we also had the other three principles missing in action.
You know, Gitonga, the story of January 30th is a story that I would request that very soon you invite me here and we deal with it. Because remember, because remember, on that year, when Raila took the Bible, in 6 minutes got sworn in by Miguna.
Or he saw himself in.
And then he says, in 2 days, we will issue a comprehensive statement as to what has happened. To date, I'm still waiting for that statement.
Yes.
Because once the truth comes out, then you will know why I'm saying I have a problem trusting Raila Amolo Odinga. But having said that, Raila is not just Raila. Raila is an institution. Raila is who he is today because very many Kenyans, in their millions, have invested in him to build him and make him the person that he is today. Raila is a person that he is today because little children, including a girl called Pendo and Master Mutinda, paid the ultimate price to make Raila the person that he is. And when you are that big, it is always important to be very careful what you do and how you do it. Going to shake the hands of Uhuru Kenyatta, it's okay. But what would have been the problem with Raila telling his colleagues that you know, guys, I've been approached and I'm going to meet Uhuru and I'll go alone. After the meeting, I'll come
I'll brief you
and brief you.
All right,
we will not be having this conversation.
We need to wind up because of time. Let me start with your closing comments, Honorable Nyamita.
My closing comments, one, I want to be in that discussion about 30th.
What happened on the 30th?
When it
I really want to know.
Number two, my colleague also acknowledges that Raila is an institution and is much bigger.
Yes.
When you have leadership, even in the house, today in my house, we are equal partners with my wife, in actual sense. But there are certain decisions when I make, I will inform her that nishanunua shamba, hiyo shamba nimeona ni mzuri, wacha tutaenda pale. The role of leadership is sometimes you don't have to consult on each and every other thing. Even this particular meeting, the Deputy President, Uhuru Ruto, acknowledged that he was not aware, but he said, I support it. You understand? He was not aware that the meeting was going to happen. So in leadership, sometimes you have to do things without consulting. And the good thing is that they acknowledge that he's a bigger brother. That notwithstanding. But after that, he will come and brief them the reasons why I actually took this. So I don't think there is betrayal at all. But NASA is here to stay, and we are family in it.
All right.
If anyone wants to walk out of it, we will remain with NASA.
All right, time will tell us. And Honorable Wambui, your closing comments briefly.
Thank you very much. I associate myself with the comments of my colleague Nyamita, Honorable Nyamita, that NASA will remain strong. If some people walk out, those of us who believe in the ideals of NASA will remain.
We'll carry on.
I want to add and say there is no question about who the leader of NASA is. It is Raila Amolo Odinga, and to whom much is given, much is required.
All right, Honorable Kotuni, your closing comments.
I want to appreciate and thank the President Uhuru Kenyatta for heeding our calls last year when we talk about dialogue, that it has finally come and happened. And you could see now the feeling in the nation, the unity, the nation is healing within a very short time, the economy is speaking. I want to appreciate Uhuru Kenyatta for that, being humble and reaching out to Raila. And then two, I also want to appreciate William Ruto, the Deputy President, because he's crisscrossing the country, preaching the same unity, the same peace, which is good for the nation, and it is good for him for the future. I want to appeal to my elder Raila Odinga to reach out to his colleagues, because the spirit of nationhood, the spirit of peace is not to create enmity among yourselves. He should reach out to Musalia, he should reach out to Kalonzo, and bring all of them to government. Finally, I am waiting for our platform where we will start engaging. How do we address the issue of inclusivity? How do we address the issue of malpractice in election process? If there is, we need to relook into the constitution, and then where are the challenges? Then we address it when the time is still there.
Absolutely.
We don't want to wait until 2020 or 2021. Then we create politics. Because if we wait until that time, we will have two antagonistic groups. The one supporting referendum for a good intention of changing the constitution and rectifying it, and one group just opposing it for a political tool, to create a political tool for 2022.
Right.
So I'm looking forward.
Right,
but I will appeal for my friends in ODM, please, that is not the language. Elisha and all those other guys, I expect them to have decorum in addressing this matter. Let them sit down, ODM sit down, please go back to the drawing table. You still need NASA, but as it is, I want to tell my friends, the writings are very clear on the wall.
All right.
NASA is collapsing.
That will be a nice place to close that conversation. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. Honorable Joshua Kotuni, Member of Parliament, Cherangani. We also have Honorable Enoch Wambua, Senator Kitui County. And last but not least, Honorable Mark Nyamita, Member of Parliament, Uriri. And that's where we wind up State of the Nation this morning. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for Tech Central. Do stay with us.